Dance Arts of Columbia provides fitness fun for everyone from 3 years old to adult. Dance Arts is a good environment where the friendly staff makes you feel comfortable. Dance Arts feels that dance is an art form that you can experience firsthand by learning tap, jazz, modern, musical theater, lyrical, and ballet. Dance Arts urges you to enjoy a sense of accomplishment while getting fit and having fun. For class information, call 875-1569. Dance Arts of Columbia, serving Columbia since 1979.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. This is Monday. It is August the 5th, and we're so glad to have you with us today. We've got one guest, and she's got a lot of good information for us. Taking care of you, meaning taking care of ourselves. Vera Massey, good to have you here.
Good to be here, Paul.
University Extension. How do we take care of ourselves?
Well, I think we've all heard the expression, it's the little things that count.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing when it comes to taking care of ourselves. It's those little practices that we have that can make a big difference in our life.
And also listening to our little inner voice that tells us things too.
Yes, but it gets crowded out by other stuff.
Yeah.
And so we know that our thoughts and our behaviors are affected by what we repeatedly perhaps tell ourselves or the practices that we have that may not lead to a healthier life. Mm-hmm. We know that there is a strong connection in the brain between thoughts and those neural connections. Mm-hmm. So, they say as the mind changes with thoughts, so the brain changes.
Yeah. Oh, I believe that wholeheartedly, Vera.
Yes.
I think if you tell yourself that you are sick, mm-hmm. you're going to make yourself sick.
Or if you already are sick, you have a harder time dealing with that sickness.
Right.
When you repeatedly focus on the bad
negative,
part.
on the negative. But
That's
if
right.
you're sick and you tell yourself, I'm going to feel better today, it's almost instantaneous. There's something that happens that you start feeling better.
You know, we were talking before we started the show about gardening. And for people who are gardening, and let's say we're into flower gardening, really taking care of the mind is similar to gardening. If you think of your mind as being your garden, I want flowers to grow, for instance. And if I want flowers to grow, I've got to take care of those flowers. I've got to pull those weeds out when they start popping up, mm-hmm. because the more weeds that pop up, the quicker my flowers get crowded out.
Right. So you're putting that same analysis into our mind, into our brain. If you start letting those bad weeds come into your thoughts, it's going to mess you up.
It's gonna not allow us to be our higher selves, as I would say.
Okay.
That we are not as compassionate, as caring, more at peace. We all are going to have challenges in life.
So
every one of us.
How do we get rid of those weeds in our mind?
Well, we start by paying attention to our lives. Now that sounds kind of crazy, but what happens is that we may be repeatedly thinking things and doing things that aren't serving us well. And the longer we do it, we're not even aware that we're doing it sometimes. And it oftentimes leads to a greater stress in our lives. So I say the sooner you can tune in and realize thoughts that may not be serving you well, and take note of that, not to judge it and say, oh, I can't believe I'm thinking that. Mm-hmm. Just to notice that, wow, my thoughts are very negative this morning. Isn't that interesting?
Mm. And then try to get rid of those
negative
thoughts.
And then try to develop some practices. For instance, I was traveling over the weekend, headed to Chicago. Lots of road construction, backed up for miles. Now, I can sit in that an hour, stop,
and fume,
and think about, what did this crazy person, what's going on? Why are we sitting here?
Well, that's the thing that's going to happen to most of it.
And sometimes the sooner we can say it is what it is and divert that, I can't do anything about it. And aren't there so many things in life that have happened And they've happened, they're over, but we're stuck in them. And the weeds are starting to grow because we can't let go of whatever it is that just happened. And that starts affecting us the rest of the day. And it depends on what it is we can't let go. It may happen and affect us the rest of our lives.
I like what you said with the fact that I don't have any control over this, so I've got to let it go. Let me give you an example of something that really bothers me. Since I love being outdoors, I love being in nature. When we go into an extended dry period, it's almost as if that moisture is being sapped out of my soul. I feel like a sponge that is drying up inside. And I find myself slipping into really negative moods. And then when I see here there's a forecast of rain, and that rain just happens to miss us, or it goes to the north or it goes to the south, I start feeling very upset and angry. I need to remember what you just said. I've got to let it go because there's nothing I can do about it.
There's nothing you can do about it. And you know, my dad farms, and when I go visit him, and his livelihood depends, the weather greatly impacts it. And I watch him, he's always struggled with that, you know, the worry. And you know, it is what it is. And I also like the expression, life isn't always the way we want it to be, it's the way it is. And again, it's that attachment to what we think we want or don't want that generates much of the stress in our lives.
Yeah. If people want to come to your class, how do they do this?
Yes, well, it's going to start next month, and
It's going to start in September.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to start in September. It's an 8-week program. So you'll learn lots of skills and strategies to work with those thoughts and that mind, and how to better manage challenges and stresses so you are more at peace, you are more calm. I'm not going to get rid of everybody's challenges, but we can explore ways to reduce our reaction to things.
So when the rain passes us by, you can teach me how to not be so upset about it.
Well, you get the soaker hose out. But it gives you opportunity to practice. And here's what we know.
Okay.
The more we practice, the better able we are to manage things.
How can they sign up for
If
this
they
class?
can call our Boone County Extension Center,
Okay.
573-445-9792.
445-9792, and you've got a whole bank of operators standing by
We'll
right
get
now.
them information with all the details about the class.
And the classes start next month, and they run for 8 weeks.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Vera Massey, thank you so much for coming by University Extension. Pleasure having you
Paul.
here. All right. Tomorrow, Dreams to Reality and Capital City Players, our topic. Our program is directed by Travis McMillen of the Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Rachel Gangware. And our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. And if you'd like to hear this program again, or you'd like to watch it, go to kbia.org, click on Talk Shows, Radio Friends, sign up for a free podcast to watch.